Well, hello, I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to Prime Time, and this is episode 1, but season 2. We done went through 1 full year of Prime Time, and just glad that you was with us for a year. If not, you can go back and look at all the episodes we've had since then. So, but we're on episode 1, season 2 right now, and we're going to do some flashback to a little bit of history of Union downtown. Most of you that's got some age on you, you can remember Hodges music. And we're going to have Deanie here, Rector, which worked for Hodges for a long, long time, and also Brian Harris worked when he was little for there. So we're going to hear some stories and hear some, just to reminisce back in time, just to walk down the streets of Union downtown back in the 60s, 50s, and 70s, 80s. And so you're going to get the whole full atmosphere of this. So we're going to try to have every once in a while someone that has a store that used to be downtown Union to reminisce in history. And if you can remember, also you can put in the comments, and I'll be able to see your comments if you add the comments to the show, and maybe we can answer a question if you got a question for Deanie. So right now we'll be right back right after our wonderful friends at La Fogata and
Fogata Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union, South Carolina, 864-429-4043. La Fogata, your family Mexican restaurants, has appetizers, child's plates, salads and soups, sandwiches, and desserts. Sizzling fajitas, Texas fajitas, shrimp fajitas. Also, they have great chicken, polo asado, chicken tenders, polo loco, and many more. If you like seafood, they have that also. Fish tacos, shrimp cocktail. They have many combinations that you can choose from in different price range. Matter of fact, they have 35 different ones. If you're a vegetarian, that's right, they can accommodate you also. Lunch menu, they have the Speedy Gonzales and about 13 others that you can make a combination with. That's La Fogata. La Fogata Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass and Union, South Carolina, 429-4043.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to switch over here in just a minute and let you see Deanie Rector there. And Kim, she said hello. If you have, like I said, a question for Deanie, you can. And let me switch this over to some prettier faces. All right. Deanie, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing fine, thank you.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you got to come on here and where we can talk about the good old days, right?
Right.
Right, those are good old days. Now, Hodges music was really an icon downtown where everybody come to get their music. Now, Pat Quinn told me to tell you hello also, because he told me they used to get some music from you for the radio station.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So, so it's always been there for everybody to get their music from. And now, when you first started out and to get a job, what were your plans before Hodges that you wanted to do?
Well, I wanted to be an airline stewardess, and I decided that after I did, that I decided that it was an ad in the paper, and Miss Hodge had an ad, and So I answered it, and so he called me for an interview, and I went up there, and he asked me, would I like to have the job, and I told him yes, and so he hired me.
Wow. So,
Then I stayed there about 32 or 35 years.
that's a long career. I tell you what, the airline, I bet they missed out on having you because you'd have been there forever too. And
now, going back to the airline thing for a moment, she was really dead set on being an airline stewardess, but I think her mama didn't want her to, right?
Mother didn't want me to go. She was upset. She lived with me, and she didn't want me to leave her.
But you know what I find interesting is that you wanted to be a stewardess, but you've never flew on a plane.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Now, you're 92 years young, and you wanted to be a stewardess, but you never flew on a plane.
Said she'd be terrified. But at that one point in time, she wanted to do that.
Wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I find that very, very interesting. And how old was you when you started to work with Hodges music?
I was 20-something.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Now, have you always lived here in Union?
No, sir. I lived in Columbia.
Oh, okay.
She went to high school in Columbia.
High school in Columbia?
Mm-hmm.
Drew High School.
What brought you to Union?
Well, I graduated from Drew High School, and Mother wanted me to come and live with her, so I moved up here.
Okay, so your mother was up here.
Yeah, my father died when he was 30 years old.
Oh, my gosh, that's young.
So she had 3 little girls.
Wow.
I was the oldest.
You're the oldest one?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And now, did you know anything about music, or did you listen to a lot of music before you went and applied for Hodges?
I've always been enthusiastic about music.
And
I like gospel music, and I like popular music. I learned to like any kinds while I was working up there because I worked around everything there.
right.
Uh-huh.
Well, you was in your 20s too. I mean, you're getting into the music. What type of music was around when you were that age? What type of music kind of sparked your interest?
Well, we were talking earlier, and when she started at Hodges Music, that's when kind of Elvis Presley was coming onto the scene, right?
Right.
And you said you kind of sold a good bit of records of Elvis back then. I guess that was the craze,
yeah.
right? In his early days, Jailhouse Rock and all of that. Do you remember people flooding into the store wanting those kind of records back then?
Yeah, I sold a lot of Elvis.
Yeah. And
we had 45 records to start off with, and then I sold a lot of 33s too, those big albums.
Right.
And Elvis was on a lot of them, and I sold a lot of those too.
Did you? Now they used to have some that was 78s.
Yeah,
years
those
ago.
were old 78s.
Right. And
But we didn't have many of those.
yeah, did you like Elvis?
Yeah, I like Elvis. Everybody liked Elvis.
Now, I know the Beatles come on. How did you like the Beatles?
Oh yes, when they came on that Sunday night,
Yeah.
we just glued to the TV, and we couldn't imagine about it because we had never seen anything like that.
now, one of the things that we talked about in the early years of Hodges Music, it wasn't in its final location yet. And I believe Deanie said it was in the current Graham Flowers building, right?
Yeah,
Is that right?
Was the radio station still beside?
Yeah.
Well, that was convenient for them.
Convenient for
next
them.
door, wasn't it?
Get that new record, just run next door, right? But
Yeah, and then Miss Hodge bought the building across the street on the corner there, right across from the bank. Used to be a bank where the sheriff's office is now. Well, he bought that, and the other building by it too, and so we moved over there. We would have more room.
And that was sometime maybe in the early 70s, maybe? Around there, late 60s, early 70s, yeah. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Hodge. What was he like back in the day? Tell us a little history, what you know. Where was he from?
He was from Sumter, South Carolina. He went to Newberry College.
Yeah.
He graduated from Newberry.
Played basketball, I think, too. Yeah.
His first year teaching band, he taught band at the high school in Greenville. And then he met Sam Strum from Union some way or another, he was teaching there. That's where it was. He was teaching. Sam Strong was teaching in the same school that he taught band. And he asked him if he told him he was coming back to Union. And he said, Tom, do you want a job there? And Tom said, yeah. He said, I'm going to try to open me a music store. Said, to get out of the band business. So he did. And
So he got out of one music business to go into another
That's
music
right.
business, didn't he?
That's what kind of opened the door for the music, the band background.
Right.
And he had all the band instruments. Gosh, we went through some band instruments and reeds, and
we did.
y'all would make trips to the high school back in the day, all the 3 high schools that were here, and do a little show of the instruments and
we'd go
stuff.
and show the band instruments. I'd go to the school and take the band instruments and talk to them about they could either rent them and rent to buy on, you know. After if they would stick with it, then they could buy it, you know, and
Right.
play along.
A little bit of time. Well, that saved him some
Payment
money
plan.
too. Now, do you play any instrument?
No, I played the guitar a little while when I was working in Hodges, but I had to give that up.
So you figured that you played that guitar and go on the road with Elvis, right?
Yeah, we sold guitars and guitar picks and reeds for the band instruments and for the clarinets. And then we
Had a lot of church hymnals in the store.
I ordered stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I'd go to Charlotte every Wednesday and pick up the records.
So it's really like a one-stop. I mean, you buy your records, you got your instruments, you got hymns, you got things like that. Which, you know, to me, Union needs something like that now.
Yeah.
Because
We
there's
do.
nothing here that people order online, and I know
You
they got.
can't. Then the records came, and then the records kind of played out. The 45s didn't, but
CDs kind of overtook the vinyl,
yeah,
big records.
CDs, yeah. Then cassettes.
Right.
With 8 tracks.
Somewhere in the mid to late 80s, it kind of
8
swapped
tracks,
out.
and then
Swapped out.
8 tracks, and then cassettes.
Now, did you have in the store? Did you have music playing all the time?
Yeah, all the
Did you
time.
Did you get to select that music, or did you let Ryan select?
I'll tell you what she did. People would come in and they would ask for a particular song, or they would tell us a little bar, a line or two. Do y'all know what record I'm talking about? And Deanie would flip through the 45s and just throw one on and put it on. Is this it? Try
Yeah.
another one. And finally we would hit it. That's it. That's what I'm wanting. You
And
kept,
everywhere I go now, they say, boy, you could get that record up right in a minute. Said everything that I wanted, you knew what it was. Because I played most of them for them.
she'd play, one of us would play a little bit for most of the customers. They would come up to the counter. We were behind the counter. They would stand in front. And there were Billboard charts lined up on the top of the counter that she swapped out every week.
That's right.
And
I get the Billboard every week, and then I cut it out.
So you had really the inside scoop of what was in the top 10, top 100.
Yeah.
top 100 of
And
Hot 100,
Right.
the R&B, soul, and country.
I had to keep the records up too, so that 10 at a time or
So-
15
so
at
the-
a time. If it's big record, you know.
with the radio station being right beside you right there, they should have just run a telephone line in there and just asked you, say, hey, what's up?
When that new Billboard issue would come in, she'd shred it up. She would take those full page ads, and it became like store decoration, really, right there on that front counter. And
Now, did you have to shred them up, or could you give them to people?
like
or,
tear it up, tear each page out, because it would be like a full page ad for
It'd be a
like
big book
whatever the
line.
album was that's trying to,
okay.
yeah, and we'd just make
We
a
just
collage
tear
of
it out
pictures.
so that we can know what was big.
The first thing we'd pull out is the charts, because you needed that more than anything, the charts.
right.
And she and I would sit down and study those charts and see what we needed to order. And she would take care of the master order. Like she said, if it was something big, she'd go ahead and order 10, 12 of those 45s. But if it's something we hadn't heard of, just try to get one or two, see if it would sell. And then once it took off, you'd say, well, I need to order more of that next week, right?
That's right. And then another thing, I have to order hymn books for the churches a lot of times.
Oh, okay.
Especially the smaller churches that didn't have hymn books. Like I had a church in Whitmire, and I ordered them 25 because the choir didn't have any hymn books.
So that was something that was
She-
added extra.
Sheet music. I had to order sheet music.
The way the store was kind of
Gospel.
laid out, one side was like the music, and then the side over there with the sheet music had like bins of books they could flip through. She would order all kind of sheet music books. I guess those kind that have like 30 to 50 pages,
Yeah.
maybe 20, 30 pieces of sheet music of whatever was popular for that time.
Gospel sheet music. And then I had to order the books for the piano teachers.
Oh yeah, we had quite a few piano teachers in the area
We
back in
sold pianos.
Yeah, sold piano, sold the piano sheet music, and back then they would pick out a selection for their recitals and make
Yeah.
sure you got all that for that.
sold a lot
Who were
of
some of the piano teachers you remember coming in quite a bit from back in the
Miss
day?
Edith Chris from Buffalo. Miss Gotchel, Mabel Gotchel on South Street. Carolyn Turner. Let's see who else. Carolyn Turner.
Was Susie Smith already teaching piano in that her name?
No, she wasn't teaching then.
Well,
Larry.
when you're, like I said, the store itself would be today would be. I believe it would just go.
It was a fun store.
It would go over well, and now we're gonna come back right after this sponsored commercial right here. But I want to ask you about what kind of turntable you had to play these records on.
Oh, we had a turntable.
Right, and,
Yeah.
and see what kind of music that you play for them, and because
Yeah,
I'll come back and ask this in just a second. We'll be right back, and we'll go to our friends La
Pagana Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union, South Carolina, 864-429-4043. La Pagana, your family Mexican restaurants, has appetizers, child's plates, salads and soups, sandwiches, and desserts. Sizzling fajitas, Texas fajitas, shrimp fajitas. Also, they have great chicken, polo asado, chicken tenders, polo loco, and many more. If you like seafood, they have that also. Fish tacos, shrimp cocktail. They have many combinations that you can choose from in different price range. Matter of fact, they have 35 different ones. If you're a vegetarian, that's right, they can accommodate you also. Lunch menu, they have the Speedy Gonzales and about 13 others that you can make a combination with. That's La Pagana. La Pagana Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass and Union, South Carolina, 429-4043.
Okay, we're back, and Deanie Rector from Hodges Music, that she was there when all the booming was going on, and I want to ask her a question about, Deanie, what type of record player did you have to play? Was it hi-fi, or, I mean, what did
We
it have?
just had a regular turntable. It didn't have a top to it. We just set it. It was on the counter. And
Like a tabletop.
It was a tabletop.
It wasn't very tiny, but it wasn't very big
So
either.
when people come in and say, I don't know if this song is it or not, and you just play a little bit, or do you play the whole song?
No, just a little bit of it.
Because they come in all the time, maybe wanting to
And
hear
they'd
the whole
tell me
song.
what they
Well,
wanted.
they might have
and
4 or
so-
5 they want to hear.
So we knew what they wanted. And
Yeah.
so if I play them when they'd come in, I'd know what was in the record.
Did you ever scratch a record?
I hope
Took
not.
care of them.
We had to be careful.
Yeah, because it's easy to scratch one of those 45s, especially and stuff. Now, did it automatically lift up, or do you have a little thing you have to push up to
Just the lever, the handle, just pull up,
just pull it up?
You could do it with your hand.
sit it
Yeah.
off to the side.
Well, I know that later on, newer ones come like that. You could push over here, and it would raise
Yeah,
up.
raise
It
up.
had the lever on it, but we never used it. We just would raise the needle and put
We
it on
just
the
raised
record.
it and put it on.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we
quick.
didn't let it drop and all that. Like the lever would hold it and drop.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about? But it had it on that one. But we would just move the needle to the actual record and
It's a wonder if
listen
y'all
about
did
20
sell
seconds.
stereo equipment.
They did.
We did.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
We had I sold floor model and
I got one for Christmas one year.
Brian. I sold him one. His mama one for him.
Yeah. Santa Claus brought me one for Christmas
Wow.
back in the late 70s. It was a good one.
Yeah. And they're a little bit bigger than they are today, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Did you have one in your home?
Uh-huh.
And did you listen to it a lot?
Yeah. I got 8 tracks too.
Wow.
And I'm playing them chuck wagon game.
Now, I've got to ask this. Are you a good dancer?
No.
We caught Mr. Hodges dancing a few times. He would throw on his Herb Alpert music and kind of.
Some of those boys that knew me, like Johnny Smith and Guy Wilburn, all of them, they knew me. They'd come in, and Johnny and I, we'd kind of dance around when Miss Hodge wasn't there.
And Mr. Hodge was really, really tall. Anybody from Union, he had to be 7 feet tall at least, easy. So, don't you think he was a tall man?
So do you know the Tijuana band that Mr. Hodge listened to?
Herb Alpert,
Albert,
Tijuana Brass.
Band.
Oh, I had Herb Alpert, Tijuana Brass, and Tommy Dorsey, and all of them, that big bands.
Yeah, he liked that band
big
kind of
band.
music because he was a band teacher, so
Yeah.
he liked those horns and stuff like that. That was his stuff. He liked that.
Yeah. Did you laugh when he got into dancing?
Yeah, we probably did.
Better see him dancing than being in a foul mood.
Now, when they come off of albums and went into cassettes, or it was 8 tracks that probably went in first.
Yeah, first.
What did you think about the 8 tracks?
I like the 8 tracks. I got a pile of them at home that I brought.
Now, did you have to repair any of them?
Sometimes the ribbon would get off, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then they went out, and then the cassettes came in.
Now, on your 8 tracks, because I grew up in that era with 8 tracks, and we always had a player that would eventually, you probably sold a lot of the same ones because of them things tearing up. You put them in your playing them a while, and then the music starts dragging a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it slows down.
I remember you
I
would
got
play
some of
them and
them
be in the
down.
middle of a song and it would click and go on to,
Yeah.
like the next track and that beep or whatever.
The cassettes were the same way too. The cassettes have that ribbon,
Right.
and they would get off more so than the 8 track.
Yeah.
And we used to carry a little pencil with us
To wind it
to
up.
wind it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could wind it up.
Right.
Yeah,
And now those players, they would rip them up real quick, wouldn't they? If you
They
didn't
would.
keep them clean, especially.
They weren't very durable. They wouldn't last as long as you would like.
But
Yeah.
in a good sense of that, you probably will sell more tapes.
Yeah. They would come back. I need a new copy of whatever because
Yeah.
they wore the other one out.
They had
Yeah.
cleaners, you know,
Yeah.
you could run through them.
That's right.
Now, did you have a big library at your house of music?
I do now. I got a big old thing full of 8 tracks, cassettes. I went in there the other day, and I was looking through, and I said, I really need to clean all that out and sell them.
You think Brian's got any music?
Oh,
She's seen my room. What?
He's almost got Hodges
I've
music.
got
up there,
Hodges
don't he?
music.
he does. I went up there and looked.
Yeah. Yeah. it's,
So Deanie and I were talking this week to kind of get back to the music a little bit. We were talking about what music was popular in Union during the 60s decade. And I told her that was really before my time, but we kind of run through some artists and she gave me some feedback on whether that was a big seller or not, just to give a picture. One of the people we talked about yesterday was Brenda Lee. Remember I was talking about Brenda Lee?
Yeah.
What do you remember about Brenda Lee?
Well, I remember rocking around the Christmas tree, and there was another one that was very popular.
She had quite a few. There was
Was
I
it
Want to Be
I'm
Wanted.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm Sorry.
That was
Yeah.
one. And yeah, she was a real young girl back then, like teenager. And we were talking about how that Rocking Around the Christmas Tree just this past Christmas went all the way to #1 after 65 years.
Yeah.
So she's still making money off of that song as
Or
an
her
older
family
woman.
is, or-
Yeah, she's like 80-something years old
Yeah.
now. So I'm sure she likes Christmas time. She makes money off that. But anyway, we talked about Brenda Lee, and she said that was a big seller. Of course, Elvis, we've already talked about. What about when Motown hit? You know, when the Motown kind of sound came in the 60s, you said that was a pretty big seller, like Diana Ross
Yeah,
and the Supremes and Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight. You remember selling a lot of those kind of records back in the day. And
I sold a lot of them.
and Four Seasons. We talked about the Four Seasons. You said you sold a lot of that.
Yeah.
Of course, the Beatles. You said everybody was buying the Beatles when they hit, right? How many Beatles records did you sell, would you think?
Piles on them.
Did you feel like you were ordering a box full every week, pretty much?
That's the truth.
Now, you said
About like them.
that you watched the Beatles on TV when they come in.
When they first came on, the first night,
Was it Ed Sullivan show?
on the Ed Sullivan Show,
He had a lot of artists.
we had an old
Coming
TV
up.
then.
So you remember that night when they came on and did their
Oh, yeah.
performance? Yeah.
There was
was
a
it black
shaking,
and-
rattling, rolling.
Was it black and white or color TV?
Black and white. No, they didn't have color TV then.
Well, see, I'm kind of like, I grew up in that same era right in there.
I bet if we could see the record sales for the week or month following that, I bet you had people lined up to get those records after
We
that.
did. We did.
All the high schoolers coming to get those records then. What about, we talked about yesterday how in the mid-'60s when the Vietnam War was going on and music kind of took a darker turn with some of the sound. Do you remember many of the people from Union going to the Vietnam War that come into the store a lot, like some of the younger men? Do you remember
I think
that?
I did, but I can't remember who they were.
Right. But you remember that time period. What about the Rolling Stones? Were they big?
Yeah, they were big.
Big. And we talked about Herman's Hermits.
Herman's Hermits.
You got a story about Herman's Hermits, don't you?
We, some of the friends of mine, well, they come in the store and buy records from me. They said, take us to Charlotte. And I said, oh, I can't drive in Charlotte. And they said, yes, you can. So we took off and went to Charlotte that afternoon. And we went to see Herman's Hermits.
And they had a good
They
time.
were a good rock band.
What was your favorite song? You remember what your favorite song of Herman's Hermit?
No, I don't remember it.
You remember the one about I'm Henry the Eighth I am?
Yeah, I remember
Mrs. Brown,
that.
you've got a lovely
Remember
daughter.
that. Yeah,
All those that were big ones.
Well, how'd you like the concert?
we liked it. They was crying.
Now, did Mr. Hodges' daughter go with you to that? Is that the one, Susan?
Went, Susan and Martha Rowan and Becky Hodge and all those. They were all friends.
And then after that, they went to see the Dave Clark Five.
Then
Was
we
that?
went to Greenville and I took them to see the Dave Clark Five. Kathy Sue Morris was she was and John met her.
Right.
She cried the whole time. She was so tickled and everything.
To get to go
She
see the
cried.
Dave Clark Five.
She'd get up and clap and cry.
Now, were you real close to the stage?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Did you, now, I got to ask you, did you throw any clothing on the stage? Any young girl throw always a handkerchief or hose, something like that, scarf?
I know.
A rose or something up
Yeah.
there.
But in Charlotte, we didn't get up close. We had tickets, but they weren't close.
Yeah.
We were up high.
We talked about Nancy Sinatra and Frank Sinatra, and they talked about them, and you said These Boots Were Made for Walking was a popular tune here in Union back in the day. Let me see what else. What about Percy Sledge, When a Man Loves a Woman? Everybody have to have that record?
Yeah.
Remember selling a lot of that? Yeah, we talked about that. And when I told Deanie my favorite song of the 60s, she remembered it instantly. I asked her, what do you remember about Bobby Gentry? And you said?
It was Bridge.
Yeah, the day Billy Joe McAllister did what?
Yeah.
Jumped off?
Jumped off the
The Tallahatchie.
Bridge.
Yeah, she remembered that. Said, "Oh yeah, that was a good one."
I bet you probably sold a lot of records of that. Because
did.
I remember we having one of that.
It was like a Southern Gothic
right.
tune.
It told a story.
Yeah,
And that's when of course, most of your. Did you sell a lot of country music?
Oh yeah.
And do you have any country music that's kind of your favorite, or from back then?
Yeah.
I know you had,
George
Alan
Jones.
Jackson was on then, back when that then, and it was another one.
Back in the early days, you remember people like George Jones and Tammy
Yeah,
Wynette,
Tammy Wynette.
early Dolly Parton, of course.
Charlie Rich.
Charlie Rich. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Loretta Lynn.
Loretta Lynn, Dottie West.
So I got to interview Loretta Lynn, and we sat side by side when I was interviewing her.
You did.
He sure
Yes,
did.
I was on. She was on the bus, and I went on the bus to talk to her, and she was just great. And when we left, she kind of gave me a hug like that and kind of, kiss on the cheek. She says, "That's not how we kiss on around here." And she kissed me right in the mouth.
Good old Loretta.
But did you get to meet any of the stars or music? I know when you went to Costa, sometimes you can go in the back behind there and see.
No, they did, but I didn't. I waited on them.
So you was the driver, designated
I was
driver.
the driver. I didn't know how to get out of Charlotte.
It was already congested with traffic back then, huh?
Oh, it was nighttime too, and I had time.
I bet.
When we got home,
Go ahead.
What were you gonna say when you finally got home?
yeah, we finally got home.
What was the hours of the store from downtown?
Oh, 9 to 6.
9 to 6. Well, that's some good hours.
Hour for lunch.
Now, downtown, compared to today, quite a bit of difference, isn't it?
Oh, gracious. I guess so.
And it's a lot of. Remember some of the stores downtown?
Which ones do you remember, Deanie?
Well, Harry Fromm's, I Fromm's, Ellis, and I Fromm, he had let's see, Belk's.
McClellan's.
Had a Belk's Annex, we had a Graham Cash, we had J. Cohen's. We had Dime Store, Roses.
McClellan's was there.
McClellan's,
Yeah.
Roses. We had 2 theaters, the Rialto Theater and another one.
My goodness.
And the Duncan.
And
Yeah.
the Duncan Theater, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's
hard to imagine
stuff.
that in Union.
I know it. I mean, it's
Stone Hardware.
There wasn't there a barbecue place or not a barbecue place, but maybe it was a drugstore. It had a restaurant or something up from Hodges or something.
Bob Rippon, those had that drugstore, and then Plaxico Wiley had a drugstore.
That's what
down
I'm
there.
trying to think of. Plexico Wiley. Yep.
That was down there near us.
Gregory's dress shop up from us.
My daddy's brother ran Gregory's store.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of traffic downtown.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, then
Saturdays was hopping on Main Street.
Wow.
You'd have to drive around to look for a parking spot. Can you imagine?
I know it.
We have a lot of empty ones now.
Yeah.
It is, and it's sad.
It is sad.
But I'm still thinking, man, if someone opened a music shop like Hodges right now, I think they would just.
It would.
Yeah, it
It would go
would.
great.
That boy, Pam, and her husband, they bought that store from Mr. Hodge. What was their name? Pam and. But anyway, they bought the store and they opened it up, and they didn't stay long till it went out because he went to work somewhere else.
Are you talking about at the end when he sold the business? So they did want to keep the music store, but
Yeah,
it
they
just didn't
kept it.
last.
They
Okay,
kept it.
I didn't know that.
Pam and her husband.
Well, we'll come back and talk in a moment some more about downtown
70s.
Union and the 70s and some of the music there, the disco like that. I got to ask you what you wore during the 70s. If you wear some of the disco stuff. So we'll be back right after these messages.
Pagana Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union, South Carolina, 864-429-4043. La Pagana, your family Mexican restaurants, has appetizers, child's plates, salads and soups, sandwiches, and desserts. Sizzling fajitas, Texas fajitas, shrimp fajitas. Also, they have great chicken, polo asado, chicken tenders, polo loco, and many more. If you like seafood, they have that also. Fish tacos, shrimp cocktail. They have many combinations that you can choose from in different price range. Matter of fact, they have 35 different ones. If you're a vegetarian, that's right, they can accommodate you also. Lunch menu, they have the Speedy Gonzales and about 13 others that you can make a combination with. That's La Pagana. La Pagana Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass and Union, South Carolina, 429-4043.
That's a girl.
All right, we're back, and we're talking with Brian Harris and Deanie Rector. She's giving us a scoop of all the great music and during the eras of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and also a little bit about the downtown Union, what the way it flourished, and we're hoping one day that will come again. Well, Deanie, we're going to talk a little bit about some 70s music. That's the disco era. And during the disco era, now I know I used to wear the great big collars and the bell bottoms and
polyester
suits that just scratch you to death, and the big heeled shoes. Now, did you dress any of the disco style?
Do you have any platform shoes, Deanie?
No, I just worked in clothes, wore clothes, dressed up.
Well, in the 70s, early 70s, of course, is when I was born, and growing up, Mama would take me, even when it was just me without Susan, we would make a weekly trip to Hodges Music Mart and buy a lot of 45s. That's why my collection grew. And I remember back then, even as a young kid, Deanie had some kind of system that she can talk about where people that bought frequent merchandise or records, what was the cards or something you had? How did that work?
Yeah, we had them. We bought the cards, and every time they got 10 records, we punched the card every time they buy a record.
Okay.
And then when you got 10, you got a free one.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's pretty neat.
It was.
And everybody liked that when they come. They say, when I get 10 now, I'm going to get a free one.
It'd make them buy that one more to get that free one, wouldn't it?
Well, that's good business strategy, really.
It was. It made us buy more.
Yeah, that's why he's got that whole room full.
I was talking to Deanie when of course I was a child. It's about the time that the Jackson 5 kind of hit the airways, and Michael Jackson being the little boy that he was. And I asked Deanie, did you sell a lot of Jackson 5 records? And she said,
Yes.
and I asked her, I said, well, if you knew it was going to be a big seller like that, about how many albums would you just go ahead and order for the bins? And she said, maybe 10. Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. Maybe 10 to 15 if you knew it was that kind of record where people were going to come in and buy it all day long.
When they got so popular and everything,
right.
They come in and buy it.
So back then you had the Jackson 5, and let's see, we talked about the teenage heartthrobs like the Partridge Family records, and they had the TV show, and David Cassidy, Sean Cassidy, all those were in the 70s, and you sold a lot of that kind of stuff. Remember the Do Run Run by Sean Cassidy? The Carpenters, you said they were big.
Yeah, they were big.
And she had a beautiful voice, Karen Carpenter.
Karen.
But my favorite, you said, when I told you this group, you were like, oh gosh, yes. When I said the Osmonds, what did you think about the Osmonds?
Then I thought, well, the Osmonds was big too, they could sing. And then they had that one sister,
Right.
Marie.
And Donnie.
She sang, and Donnie. Then Donnie and Marie came out of the group and started singing by themselves.
They had a television program.
They had a TV program.
Yeah, they kind of weaned off the brothers.
Now, the 70s music in there, can you recall, what was your favorite song that you just kind of loved?
Let's see. 70s?
Yeah, with the Osmonds and Jacksons 5 and...
Who were some of your favorites? Gosh, I've got a lot of... My favorite song of the 70s, I like the Bee Gees and Andy Gibb. So
Yeah.
I would have to
Beach
definitely
Boys.
say Andy Gibb, I Just Want to Be Your Everything. I love that. That was a favorite of mine.
I still like the Beach Boys.
Beach Boys.
Yeah.
The Eagles.
Eagles were
Yes.
big. Oh, gosh, yeah.
And I still-
We talked about that. She said she sold a ton of Eagles records.
Yeah, that's...
And the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, of course, and Grease soundtrack. Those were big.
Well, see, I managed a restaurant right beside a theater as a pizza place, and they had a DJ come out and to play all the Saturday Night Live, not Saturday Night Live, but Fever, and some of that music there, and had the parking lot full, so we really did a big booming business that day. And they'd all dress like the movies,
Right.
and came on to do it.
Now, during that disco time, that's when I wasn't working there, of course, then I was still in elementary school, but I know even in the 80s, we sold what we called 12-inch records. Remember those 12-inch, like the skating rink and all those DJs would come in and buy the the 12-inch versions of the dance songs or
Yeah.
whatever, and that was big. Skating rink used to come in and buy a lot of records. The people that run the
Oh,
skating rink,
yeah,
remember? They kept us busy wanting the
is the
current hits.
Floyd.
Yeah, uh-huh.
He'd come and buy them hundreds of dollars worth.
Yeah, because they had to stock that, and they kept them skating rinks
Cassettes.
going.
Oh, yeah, where people can skate and dance.
Yeah,
Can you
anything.
skate?
I used to could when I was young. I used to go to skating rink and dance.
And
I mean,
dance.
skate.
And skate.
Well, so you done gave it away now. You're out there dancing.
See, I can see her
I
doing
used to go to
that.
skating rink somewhere when
Yeah.
I first came to Union.
Yeah.
I could skate pretty good.
I used to skate pretty good like that. You know what? I found out later in years, don't go skating because your balance is not the same.
I'm afraid not.
I used to skate backwards and all that, but now I skate forward, flip, and everything else, but it's on the floor falling.
Who were some of your 70s favorite groups, Jerry? What comes to mind?
Well, let's see. Of course, I like the Carpenters, the Eagles.
I like Tony, Orlando, and Dawn. I like them.
I
Yeah.
like them too.
And Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
His,
Oh, yeah.
and,
Oh, yeah. Barry Manilow.
Yeah. And Tommy Lee Roth, is it?
David Lee Roth
David Lee
from
Roth,
the 80s.
yeah.
Yeah. I like Rita Coolidge. You remember Rita
Oh,
Coolidge?
I remember her.
She was good. Uh-huh.
So it's a lot of great music nowadays, compared to what in many years ago. It's quite a bit different, isn't it?
Oh dear. I don't call it music.
Neither do I. Not today's music.
Well, they've got a lot of where the bands back then actually played
I knew it.
together, played the music.
know it.
Where now they've got a lot of insert tracks and things that separate, and you can tell the difference.
Oh yeah.
We can tell the difference because we had a wall of sheet music of all the top 20 songs back then. I don't know that you could buy sheet music for what they listen to today. Do you? Could you imagine?
Well, I know online's taken away a lot of it. Even with downloading music, I know when I used to DJ, I'd carry a big box of 45s, and I used
Right.
to DJ at a nightclub called the Silver Bullet.
Oh yeah.
and they had two turntables, and you kind of cue it up a little bit on this one. You play one and get the other ones. And I had a store there I went to that looked at the top charts and get the top ones to make sure I had those to play.
The records back then were fairly cheap too. They were like what, 75 cents, $1 for a 45 or something like that.
Yeah.
You could go buy a sack full, not even spend $10.
Did you have any DJs coming there buying besides the ones at the WBCU?
Not too much.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was too popular back then, not because you had to almost have a Mack truck to haul some of that
Haul your
equipment
stuff.
back then. And now, if I go out and DJ anything now, and I still get called to do it, you know what I take instead of the big piles of record? This right here. That's it. That's all I need.
Wow.
And with of course with the sound, with the speakers, but that's
Right.
it. And someone says, "Have you got this?" Yeah, I've got thousands.
Yeah.
And
Everybody goes by that kind of stuff now.
yeah, they do, but it's still not the same. And the people in our era listening to albums, 45s, it is totally different than listening to it digitally.
Right.
It's that sound of that like that.
A little hiss.
Yeah, a little hiss.
Little quiet
in there.
hiss. Uh-huh.
And the clarity of it is, to me, is more spot on than the CD is.
Yeah. Definitely has a different sound, for sure. Yeah.
So what did you think when it changed over? Say, for instance, they come up and said, "You know what? We're changing over from 45s to cassettes and 8-tracks." What was your thought on that? Did you think it'd ever go, or you thinking they're crazy?
Yeah, I knew it would go because I sold a lot of them, especially the boys from Whitmire. They'd come in and buy a lot of the cassettes.
We did sell a lot of cassettes.
Mine.
I was working there during that time, and we
sold a lot of cassettes.
we went through those cassettes.
Mine was good on that kind of stuff.
She had her own way of organizing it too. If somebody had come behind the counter, they'd have trouble finding it because instead of organizing it by the last name, you remember how you did it by the first name. So we had a little system that we knew how it was, but just anybody wouldn't. But yeah, the cassettes I think went over really well, and I think that's because back then people were playing them in their car. I think.
Mine could sell them.
And Beth Justice says hello to you too. Says she listens to you.
Yeah, she's got a connection with Beth right now.
So, and now you had your own organization as far as organizing everything. If someone come by behind you and didn't put it in the right place, did you let them know it?
Well, it was just me and her, so it would have been in place. There was only 4 employees that we know of in Hodges, unless there was somebody there before her.
Right.
It was Deanie, Jimmy, me, and Mr. Hodge, and that's it. Unless there was somebody before Deanie, that was it. There was only 4 of us in the whole span of the store.
He'd leave everything to me.
Yeah, she did everything pretty much. He was just there by name only.
Was Brian hard to train?
No, mine used music.
I had been in there with Deanie since birth, pretty much. So I was jumping up and down when Mr. Hodge asked me if I would. He would ask me. I remember I went to work there probably '86, maybe somewhere around 1986, and I was in high school, and I think he was wanting to try to pull in some high school people.
Right.
And so, of course, I went back and told my friends at school that I was working at Hodges in hopes they'd come and buy some stuff, and a few of them did. But I was able to go back and tell them what we got in and stuff, and so somebody came and bought it.
You can always tell them we got the top. Yeah, we got that there because by working there. Now, how much did you get paid?
Back then?
Yes.
Gosh, I don't even remember. But
I remember my first job when I got paid. It was $1.70 an hour.
Wow, I think it was a little more than that. I'm pretty sure it was a little more than that. But I probably worked. I seemed like I worked when I got out of school on Thursdays, and then Fridays, and then Saturday was my big day. Me and Deanie would do all the big chores on Saturday to kind of get ready for the next week. And early the next week, one of Deanie's routines was she would get the order ready on Monday and call it in, I think, on Tuesday, and they'd send the box. That might be something you want to talk to her about how she used to have to do the ordering versus the last decade or so. She used to have to go get the stuff, didn't you?
Yeah,
in Charlotte?
I had to go to Charlotte on Wednesday.
Now, did you take a van or a car?
I took my car.
And loaded up?
Loaded up. And then when I was there, she would just get on the phone and you remember that man's name you would call?
No, I don't.
What was the name of that company?
It was 2 companies.
Yeah, you had 2 companies.
But I don't remember the name.
They was out of Charlotte still, though. Were both of them in Charlotte?
They would mail them to me.
I mean, she'd make a phone call one day and it'd be at the store the next day, if not the next day after that. Within 1 or 2 days, she had the order.
So when you got the charts, did you go by the charts of what you ordered, or did you
if they were very popular, we did. If we knew it was going to sell it.
Right.
Because they were at that time, everybody knew what would be out and what would be popular, and they'd come wanting it. See, and so they'd come in and people would come and get them.
Now, did the places that you ordered your music from, did they ever call you and tell you, say, look, this is getting to be popular, and to kind of give you a little bit of a heads
Yeah,
up?
they tell me sometime.
See, that's good. You hit the inside scoop.
When they would first hit the chart, like the new entries, if we had never heard of them, she'd probably get 1, sometimes 2. But as it got higher on the chart, like top 20, top 40, then she'd start getting 3 or 4.
And then Brian knew what was popular, and he told me what to do.
I'd make a list, and this is something
And he
big
knew
with the
how to sell
kids.
them, too.
Yeah, we went to all the 80s, all those Bon Jovis and Def Leppards and those bands. So I could tell, they like the
Live
Bon
on a
Jovi
Prayer
and the Def Leppard. That was big. Van Halen, all those back then.
Yeah.
That's what they want. And the soul music was real popular, too, that we had there. I can think of a few tunes that really went over well here. I mean, there was one called, what was it? Betty Wright. There was something by Betty. Remember that lady named Betty Wright? Was it Joy and Pain or something? We would sell a ton of that. That Club Nouveau, Lean on Me. We sold a lot of that.
Lean on Me.
Lean on Me. Yeah, I remember that. It was good. It was good.
Now, Deanie, you worked there for like 34 years at Hodges.
35.
35 years. Mm-hmm. And where did you go to work after that?
Well, I didn't work for a while because, see, Mr. Hodges got sick and he had to close up.
Oh, okay.
And then Al and Liv Smith, they went to my church, Tabernacle,
Uh-huh.
and she asked me if I wanted a job, and I told her, yeah, I think I might. And so, so I went up there and talked to Al and Liv hired me. And I didn't work full time at that time, but then she hired me full time. And then I stayed there 14 years, and I was retired.
Okay, and you work a little bit there now, don't you?
Yeah, I help out when she needs me.
Well, you haven't retired yet.
No.
Yeah, you're not old enough to retire yet.
She'll wait till she's really, really old.
Yeah,
and,
exactly,
she's not there yet.
Yeah, I'm so amazed. She's, hope you don't mind me saying, but 92 years young, and you look great. You don't look nowhere near your age whatsoever, and I'm just amazed.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I tell you what, they got a good employee because you've been with Hodges Music for that length of time.
Deanie does not need a computer. She just needs a notebook and a pencil or pen, right? It'll get taken care of.
So that's
She's
her
living
computer,
proof.
isn't it?
It must be because I don't have a computer.
Well, you might have to get one after this interview here. All your fans are going to come up, you can be
Yeah,
wanting autographs from you and everything else. But you said you had what kind of car did you have? I'm curious on that. I love
Car.
a car that you got that you.
Well,
that
I
you
bought
rent.
my first car from Jack Roper. His daddy ran Roper Chevrolet.
Right.
And little Jack worked for him. And he came up there and asked me, said, I heard you want a car. Well, see, we didn't have a car at that time. So he badged me till finally I told him, I said, okay, I'll come down there, I'm going to buy it. He was so happy.
You remember what kind it was?
Chevrolet.
What kind of Chevrolet? You remember?
No, I don't remember.
What color was it?
It was blue.
A blue. I remember you having a blue car. I don't. This is probably not the same car, but I do remember it's like a blue station wagon sort of car.
Well,
at one time.
You had to have something to hold them records in, didn't you?
No, I didn't have no records, that's for sure.
Do you remember what Jimmy
We
Hodge
said-
used to make a lot of back in his little office? People would come in and have something made. The keys. Remember him making all those?
Oh, we made keys.
Yeah, he made a
did
lot
too.
of keys.
I made
You can
keys.
make them, yeah, but he spent most of his day back there making keys,
And
didn't he?
Well, y'all had a little bit of everything in there. Now, you also had someone...
Vacuum cleaners.
That's what I was getting
Vacuum
at, too. You didn't have to go out. You didn't have to go out and do like Barney Five did, knock on doors wanting somebody to buy a vacuum cleaner, did you?
No,
they come to
in
us.
wanting vacuum cleaners.
What type of what
It was
name?
Eureka.
Eureka uprights, yeah.
Wow.
Canister.
Did you have to give a demonstration of it?
Yeah, a little bit.
There were guitars hanging up on the wall.
Canister. We had guitars all over
Jimmy
the
was the
wall.
guitar specialist. He knew all that.
We sold a lot of guitars.
And you had someone
Pianos.
when these 8 tracks and devices that would break that would work on those, didn't you?
Oh yeah, there was a man that fixed the stuff.
Fix.
Freddie. Remember Freddie?
Yeah, Freddie.
Freddie Gardner.
Yeah.
Where'd he live?
He
Carlisle?
lived at Santa.
Santa. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's kind of go by days because now they used to have TV repairmen.
Yeah,
you know?
he repaired TVs too.
He would stop in the store a couple times a week, see if there's anybody requesting a fix.
Most of the time we had him a TV.
Well, did y'all sell TVs too?
Yeah.
I tell you, it was a fun store.
Y'all had
We
everything
had
in
a
that
variety of everything. Pianos,
Yeah.
store.
vacuum cleaners, we had sewing machines too.
Singer sewing machines?
No,
Oh, different brand.
different brand.
Yeah.
Little small appliances. Yeah.
I can the portable TVs they had weighed a ton, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
They did.
because we used to the big cabinets. It's one thing about years ago when they had the big cabinet, had the TV in it and the stereo in
It's a
it
piece
and
of
all that
furniture.
right there. You never had to worry about anybody breaking in your house, stealing your TV.
No, because it was huge.
It would break your back.
It looked like it's 15 feet long. Some of them.
It was black and white until they finally got the color.
Well, some of the machines had televisions and stereos in them. The little things that would flap up on the side, have a stereo and speakers on
Right.
it.
Yeah.
come out.
console, whatever. Yeah.
And then when they come out with the color TV, they had 4 colors on there, didn't they? The 4 little color buttons on the back.
Yeah.
Push it in.
And you had to push it and turn it. If we got a little bit more red in it like that, we think it was doing good, didn't we?
Yes. Get your hue and your tint just right,
you get this
brightness,
little brightness
contrast,
a
or
little bit
whatever.
on it. And,
Yeah.
We had a lot of piano teachers to come in and buy books for the kids
oh, okay.
that took piano.
That would
I
give.
sold a lot of gospel sheet music too
Well, you know,
for churches.
y'all just did everything, sold everything that had to do with music.
Deanie had a whole section of like cassettes that was her favorite gospel singers, the Chuck Wagon Gang and the Gaithers and
Yeah.
Amy Grant and all
Yeah.
a whole little section, Sandy Patty and stuff like that. We had a good business with that too.
Yeah.
She knew all those stars. They were mostly on cassettes. I don't think they had many 45s, but
many.
albums they did and cassettes. That was big for the
We sold a lot
gospel
of
music.
books for piano.
Yeah.
Those
After records, that was probably the next sellers, the sheet music
thick
and stuff.
books. You know, they'd come in and buy gospel thick books.
Now, Deanie, we was growing up these TVs and stuff like that. Those television stations, they signed off at 12 o'clock, didn't they? It's time for people to go to bed. Remember the television going off at 12, that little circle going beep.
Oh, yeah.
And the national anthem at the end of it.
Yeah.
Now, I see where Beth writes on there that she was a big fan of KC and the Sunshine Band. I remember KC and the Sunshine Band. Boogie Shoes, and they were on the Saturday Night Fever a lot. And
Dancing on Sunshine.
Walking on Sunshine.
Walking on Sunshine,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
Katrina and the Waves in the
Yeah.
80s, yeah.
Casey
Walking
and
on
the Sunshine.
But shake, shake, shake your booty and get down tonight.
I know.
Deanie, I bet that if they had a camera in your store, in Hodges' store, when no one was in there, some of that music was playing, I bet they could see you dancing in there.
Cut a
You put
rug.
it on, you know, you couldn't help
She would.
Yeah.
She'd gyrate a little bit.
dance around.
I took her up into my music room and turned on some. She said, "Oh, I remember that." Was kind of shaking around
Yeah.
just in place. That was good.
It still gets under your skin now, doesn't it?
Fly, Robin, fly.
Brian's got a music store in his house.
Exactly. Hey, I believe he can play a record between now and the next 20 years, and it wouldn't even be halfway through it.
Good retirement
Spend it all day.
pastime right there.
That's it. That's it.
I don't know what he's going to do with all them things.
Well, Deanie and Brian, I enjoyed it. It's getting top of the hour. It went by quick, didn't it?
It did.
And we got to get out there where you can get all your autographs and stuff. I mean, you're gonna have paparazzi coming taking pictures of you and everything.
Deanie was Hodges' music mark. She was.
Yeah, that's what
Mr. Hodges, he was just the name, but she ran the store.
She was the store.
She was the
After
store.
that many years, like that, it's
He didn't know
amazing.
nothing except
He,
real estate.
he didn't.
He had real estate.
So he had the real estate part there. You just kind of took.
And you
care
said
of
he had
that
an
part.
auto parts store a long time ago, right?
Yeah,
That was before my time. Way.
Down there on Gadberry, he opened the Dixie Auto Parts.
Dixie Auto
So
Parts.
he would go down there and see about them working and come
Yeah.
back. And,
He was always just in and out.
Well, Deanie, thank you for coming and sharing your stories. How things was back in years ago. We hope and pray that we'd like to see that come back with all that business downtown.
I do
And
too.
I tell you what, I think if someone opened up a music store like Hodges was there, y'all had.
We should just open up one and call it Deanie's. Deanie's
We
Music
need
Mark.
A nice music store, and we need a children's store
Yeah.
Right. And this way,
downtown.
and sell anyway from vacuum cleaners to the whole works, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, you've heard it. A little bit of history of Union from Deanie Rector, and stay tuned for next week. Again, I don't tell you who the guest is until the weekend, so just kind of look out for that ad that comes up and see their picture and a little bit about them. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and thank you for listening and watching Prime Time with Jerry McKee. You have a great night.